In 1991, I was an Eastern European artist. In 1995, I was a Southeast European artist. In 2000, I was a Southeast European artist from Eastern Balkans. I live in the same flat, which is very close to the river which crosses my city. So it's hard to define what am I, because I think that I am the same person, but I think the interest from the others looking to me are different. So they change a lot in the last 15 years, since also I'm acting as an artist and as an art professional. I think that this presentation, I would like to organize it like that. I think that images are very powerful, and I think that I will make short comments on each image I will show you. So this is a performance from 1998, made by a young artist from my city, who wanted to make a paraphrase of a well-known work of an arte povera Italian artist called Le Monument pour le Socle du Monde. And in fact, what is he doing here? It was a really heavy performance. He was buried, half of his body in the earth, and together with me and one colleague of mine, we organized a thin system of pipes which were inside his nose. And the pipes were about 15 meters in the back of this circle. And the artist managed to stay like that about 30 minutes. What I think it was very interesting, it was how the whole situation changed during these 30 minutes. In the beginning, the diameter of this circle of people was about 10, 12 meters. In the end, everybody was so close to this man, thinking that he could die. People are always very sensitive when they see somebody dying. So imagine that somebody is dying. And why a beautiful boy of 21 years old decided to do such a thing, such a heavy thing, involving his body in such a difficult situation? Because he wanted somehow to exorcise a trauma. And I think that the trauma was a social trauma of the Romanians in the 90s. Because after, probably you might know, that we had in the 70s and 80s the worst communist dictatorship in Eastern Europe. And after the dark 80s, we had the very dark 90s. And I think that in the Romanian art context, in the 90s, many artists use their body to exercise the situation. It was a kind of, if I remember very well, we had a lot of smaller, bigger performance festivals. Performance, happening, actionist was somehow reactivated in the spirit of the late 60s, like it was in the West, in America and in Western Europe. And in fact, this shows the situation and the condition of an artist living in a country in a very difficult situation. A situation which changed after 1999 because of politics. As you know very well, NATO bombed Serbia. It was the Kosovo War. As a result of this Kosovo War, which ended in May 1999, it was that will to stabilize the Balkans. I will say Romania was not a part of this conflict zone. This is Western Balkans. But it was very clear that they had to stabilize this region, because all the conflicts will be immediately exported very close to Central Europe and to West of Europe. If you would read the situations in the spring of 1999, you will see that the Austrian army, small country of Austria, 7 million people, was very close to war in 1991 when the Serbian army attacked Ljubljana. It was a few days war. Few people died. So Austria, a very prosperous Central European country, had this situation. So as a result of this 1999 strikes of NATO and all the conflict, it was this political decision which was taken at a Helsinki meeting of European Union leaders to start the negotiations to integrate Romania and Bulgaria in the European Union. This was a 7-year process which ended on papers on January 1st, 2007. As a result of this situation, what I saw in 2000, for the first time, we had a stabilizing of the economy. The inflation rate, which was about 50 to 80% annually, which was incredibly high. People couldn't take loans from the banks. The price of bread was changed every month. Started to decrease. In 2006, my country had an economical growth of 7%, and the annual inflation rate was about 6.5, and the predictions for 2007 are below 5. Okay, you will be asking why I'm telling you these things, because I think that politics are influencing art and the art production. And from this generation of artists which were doing these things, situations shifting a lot in the last years. I'm coming from a city which is as big as Bristol is, because probably it has a university, the oldest university in Romania, with about 60,000 students. In 1938, the city was about 150,000 people. More than a half were Jewish. And from this, it was a center of a region, and from small towns of this region, some of the Jewish artists didn't want to fight in the First World War, and they moved to Zurich. And they met other very interesting artists in Cabaret Voltaire, and they founded the Dada movement. Tristan Tzara was born very close to my city. Victor Brauner, or Daniel Spoeri, who was also noted yesterday, I think, by somebody. So, the city has an interesting Jewish heritage and Jewish culture in this region of Moldova, because in the second half of the 19th century, the newborn Romanian state offered rights to the Jewish populations. So many Jews from Poland, from Belarusia, from Baltic states, Ukraine, they came down to Moldova because they had rights. This explains why the first Jewish theater was founded in Iași in 1871 by Ava Goldfaden. He, in 10 years, moved to New York, and he had his own theater on Broadway. So I want to say that the city has a potential, has a history, has a culture, has an infrastructure, but it is in a difficult situation because of the post-communist condition. Together with a group of artists and philosophers, we started to organize. We had, of course, long talks about who we are, what are we doing, whom we are addressing, what are we talking about. And we organized this performance festival. The first edition was in 1996.